Awesome. So, Coach, thanks a lot for joining us here today. I really appreciate you making some time in your busy schedule. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I'm honored to be on and fired up to do this.
Awesome. So I know the fall is a really busy time. You guys are probably right in the heart of kind of the fall season here. How's things looking so far? How are things coming together as you guys are getting into your fall?
Yeah, things have been great. It's I was just talking to a few people yesterday that the fall's sometimes busier than the spring, to be
Yeah.
honest, from a
Yep.
time perspective. And there's just this mad dash to get everything in. And as the landscapes change, you have a lot of newer guys every year, and so there's and we're kind of in a boat where we've got a lot of returners. I got a lot of
Mm,
3, 4, and 5 year guys, which is special and
hmm.
probably not crazy common. But we also have a lot of new guys too, and trying to get everything where we need to. But it's been busy. We had outside
Yeah.
competition Sunday.
Mm.
I'm sorry, Saturday, last Saturday, and then off Sunday, and then back with practice. Monday we had outside competition. Wednesday we had scout day. Yesterday we've got squad game today.
Hmm.
Working the football game tomorrow. I mean,
Yeah.
it just keeps going and going and going. And but it's what, man, it's a blessing. It's a
Hmm.
lot of fun. Love our guys. Love Gardner-Webb. So I'm a blessed human being every day I wake up.
That's great to hear, and it's a lot of hats that you wear as a coach, right? I'm curious, being a head coach at a Division I program, I think a lot of times families going kind of through the recruiting process, even or just learning about college baseball, I don't think they all always understand kind of like the role of the head coach. Like it's more than just sort of the between the white lines coaching. Just give a little insight into kind of some of the different roles, some of the different responsibilities that you have there on campus as far as like kind of running the overall program there.
Yeah, no doubt. It's funny. One of the professors here on campus asked me to speak earlier this week
Yeah.
for in their theories of coaching class, and kind of telling my story and different things. But like I'm really blessed. I came, I think I'm one of the only coaches in the country that's been a junior college
Hmm.
head coach, Division III head coach, Division II, and now Division I. But it's just I'm not saying it's exactly the same, but there's a lot of similarities and things
Yeah.
that overlap. And if this was all about throwing batting practice, hitting fungos, and ordering uniforms, I mean, it would be great, but it's not. And
Hmm.
I'm blessed because I've had a chance to be like I've been the maintenance person, I've been the
Hmm.
grounds crew, I've been the athletic trainer, I've been the sports information director, I've done compliance. I can go down the list. So I'm a master of nothing, but I got my hands dirty in a little bit of everything,
Yeah.
and it's awesome. But just talking about, like, here we are at 9:15 in the morning,
Hmm.
right? I've already had my hands in planning our squad game today from a baseball perspective, to doing organizing some things for our golf tournament here in
Hmm.
2 weeks. In January we have a huge fundraiser to show you, and it's relevant right now. Our guy Mason Miller's coming back to campus,
Yep. Yep.
so we're already starting the promotional piece for that, like in working, for that event.
Hmm.
So it, it just it just doesn't end. And we had 2 weight groups this morning. I mean, it's a lot of fun, but like there's just a little bit of everything to make sure that we're working with compliance, and we're
Hmm.
raising money, and our team's in a great place, and then the communication from me, throughout our staff, to make sure that we're moving in the right direction. And that's the strength coach, athletic
Hmm.
training, our assistant coaches, everything top to bottom. So again, it's a lot of different hats. You got to be able to juggle your time, and the one thing that I've had to learn is, you're only as good as the people around you. So I've got to
Hmm.
let them do their jobs, and delegate responsibilities. And I'm really blessed here to have a great staff. So, but like every day, there's always a challenge. So,
There's
um,
another email popping in, something else coming up. There's lots of things happening. Now, you mentioned your background. I wanted to have you kind of be able to speak to that a little bit because you mentioned some different experience, different levels. So how has that sort of helped you? Sort of establish a coaching philosophy now that you're at the highest level of college baseball here at Gardner-Webb. But how have some of those previous experiences helped you develop sort of that philosophy, the ideas that you have around how you run your program?
Yeah, you know what? I think, like everything, it should be the philosophy and the approach, and a lot of things that are going on. I mean, it changes, and it's got to
Hmm.
change with where landscapes are. I've been through a bunch of different landscapes since I
Hmm.
started 20 years ago, and so the new one with the transfer portal and NIL
Hmm.
and all this stuff. It's another wave we're going through. It's no different than when travel ball came in, or the showcase circuit, or there been, like I said, it's the social media
Hmm.
piece. There's just been a lot of different things that you got to ride the wave, and I just know every wave that's came through, the people that were in the game that complained about it and didn't adapt and embrace it, are not in it anymore.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so like it is what it is. And so I've taken every experience that I've had and tried to learn from it. I tell our team every day, we don't you don't fail. You know what I mean? You learn. You
Hmm.
don't make a mistake. You learn, and that we try to take that in our daily approach. And I have to in my career too.
Hmm.
So it's but as far as like having hardcore philosophies or coaching disciplines, like every team's different.
Hmm.
Every player's different, and we've had years where we're close to hitting 100 home runs and playing that way, and we've had years where we've been close to stealing 100 bags and
Hmm.
playing it that way. So the years where we've ran out 8 or 9 guys and just rode those guys for a season. And I've had years where you got to use 19 or 20, and
Hmm.
to make
Hmm.
it work. And it's so all those experiences prepare you for what's next.
Yeah.
So but I don't have the mindset like I've seen everything and I figured everything out. I've you learn something every day. You really do. You really
Hmm.
do.
Hmm.
So just embrace the opportunity. We love on our guys every day. We push them to be the best players they can be, and just try to take some of the experiences I had and all the mistakes I've made and learn from them and try to get better every day.
Absolutely. That growth mindset we all like to talk about, right, as coaches. That's
Amen.
really important. Yep, absolutely. Now, at Gardner-Webb, one thing that was very interesting for a few years ago is you guys were able to kind of have like a pilot developmental program there for a bit. Could you kind of talk about the status of that, kind of what you learned from that? With the roster changes and things that are happening around Division One baseball, there's maybe it's in the weeds a little bit, but a little bit of a push of like, how do we get more roster spots for teams and players and programs and get more kids playing college baseball as we kind of squeeze rosters a little bit. Where did that kind of go for you guys? What did you learn from that? What are some of the things that you could see, like, could this work? Could that be something that could work across the board?
Yeah, no, I mean, the developmental program now for us is switched in over to student life, and
Yeah.
it's a
Yep.
club program, which is
Mhm.
it's
Mhm.
for me, it's the same program. It's just got a different, it's under a different division
Sure.
here.
Yep.
But what now it's allowed them is to be in a conference.
Mhm.
They made the playoffs last year. They've
Yep.
got something to play for. Before there was no league. There was not, wasn't an opportunity
Yep.
to compete for a championship. Now there is, which I think is awesome. It's
Mhm.
awesome,
Mhm.
and it's a great opportunity for a player out there that's looking for a very strong Christian education with a strong Christian culture on campus, and to continue to play college baseball
Mhm.
and then be able to compete for a championship and be able to access Division 1 facilities.
Mhm.
I think is amazing. I
Yeah.
think it's
Yeah.
amazing from that standpoint. But I think that what I found this a little remarkable that more people don't understand where college baseball is right
Yep.
now. Like
Yep.
so, like the House settlement that went in effect July 1st, right? Like so, there's when the judge laid out the all the parameters inside the
Mhm.
settlement, the schools individually you make a collective decision as a
Mhm.
university whether to opt into the settlement or opt out.
Yep.
So the schools that everybody sees on TV and are profiled on social media, the North Carolinas of the world, the Dukes, East Carolinas, they all opted in. So they're
Mhm.
the ones that everything you read on Twitter, 34 scholarships,
Mhm.
which I don't think many have. But I
Correct.
don't know. I don't know that.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
34 roster spots, you know what I mean? And declared by December 1st. All these things that are like they think everybody is regulated to that. Well, there's another side to this. You could opt out of the settlement. Okay. So when you opt out, you don't have the ability to do the revenue sharing. You can't the paying of players. That's not you're not able to do that. And but we have an unlimited roster.
Mm-hmm.
We could carry as many as we'd like, but it gives I consider it a little bit of an advantage. We can carry 34. This is just a Jim Chester opinion, and I'm sure some other coaches would agree. It's not enough.
Mm-hmm.
It's really not enough. You need to get into that 40 range to have competitive practices, competitive fall inter squads, to do a lot of different things. And listen, you're able to give some guys some opportunities where they wouldn't have had that opportunity
Yep.
before. So, again, players develop,
Mm-hmm.
and they need time, and we're able to do that for some players. So it's we're on the other side of all of it, and
Yeah.
it's because I daily I get the question, how you navigating the
Mm-hmm.
34 roster, like,
Mm-hmm.
and I have to explain this a lot. So I
Yep.
hope people that listen to this
Yep.
understand where we're at and
Yep.
how it works.
Absolutely, and I appreciate you kind of explaining that, because for a lot of families there is a lot of, and it's very understandable, right? They're not all in it every day to see some of the minute details of it, but there are a few schools and programs that have not opted in to it, and that puts them in kind of a different bucket. So that's very important, I think, for families to understand. Now, you mentioned some of the programs that are in your backyard. I mean, it's one of the most competitive areas of the country, obviously at the
Yeah.
Division I level. Just kind of talk about just sort of that opportunity you guys have to compete at that highest level, to go up against those kind of guys, but what it's like to try to recruit against some of those programs as well. Just give some insight into kind of what it's like. How do the Gardner-Webbs of the world, how do the programs in the Big South, and some of the, how are they able to make themselves competitive and keep themselves in that conversation with those programs, despite maybe some of the just frankly, like the challenges of going up against some of the resources those programs have.
Yeah, no doubt. And listen, if you took a 3 hour radius and
Yeah,
circled it around Gardner-Webb,
yeah.
it's pretty daunting. I mean, you go
Mm-hmm.
3 hours west of here, you're in Knoxville. They got a pretty
Yep.
good team over there in Tennessee. And then we go 2 hours southwest of here. I mean, you're in Columbia,
Mm-hmm.
Athens, Georgia. We can get to Atlanta. We got Georgia Tech.
Yep.
You get east of here. I mean, you got teams North Carolina, Duke,
Mm-hmm.
NC State. Like I can just keep. You can get a large chunk of the top 25 in a 3 hour radius of here, and
Mm-hmm.
a chunk of the top 10
Mm-hmm.
on a given year. So yeah, it's awesome. And again, we embrace it, right? Like, and then we're fired up to play those games and do those things. I don't have like a roadmap to like where we go and we're trying to
Mm-hmm.
compete against these schools. So it's not
Mm-hmm.
that's not like what we're trying to do on a daily basis. You know, so my I worry about us,
Mm-hmm.
and I worry about our needs. And if we run into those roadblocks, I mean, there's a lot of players out there in a lot of parts of the country that want to play college baseball. So,
Yep.
we've kind of, we have a healthy mix of players from a lot of different places.
Yep.
And I'm originally from the Northeast, so
Mm-hmm.
those ties, connections, and have been fruitful for us here. Um, so like, we've done that, but we also recruit our backyard. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we've got four local schools here in the county we're in. We've got a really good player from each school.
Mm-hmm.
So like again, it's an inexact science.
Yep.
Um, but I don't come into the office every day going, all right, how do we outsmart North Carolina, or how do we out resource NC State, or how do we,
Mm-hmm.
like, it's not.
Yep.
You'll drive yourself crazy because it's just not it's not what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's not going to be feasible. But can we get young men and develop them to be power four players? For
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
sure. We've
Oh
we've
yeah.
had we've had many of them. So
Absolutely.
that's more of like what we're looking for versus the other end.
When I think when you see some of the teams, outside of like the Power Four, when they make a good run, it really where they're making that run is they're winning their conference. They're taking those right steps to put themselves in the position to then get to that regional and then win that regional and then be able to move on. So if the goal is to eventually go up against those guys, you got to take care of business in the backyard and in the conference and do those kind of things, right?
Absolutely. And I
Yep.
mean, it gets those guys those teams are hot, man. They're
Yep.
they're they're,
Yep.
they're playing well. Obviously they won their league.
Mm-hmm.
And they had their backs against the wall already because they're coming from a one bid league, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
times.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so they already been in that regional setting in their conference
Yep.
tournament with, what I mean, knowing they're
Yep.
outs away from going home. So it's
Mm-hmm.
a beautiful
Mm-hmm.
thing. And like, I just, I again, maybe I'm just giving my own opinion, but I don't know. Everyone kind of noticed March Madness last year. There
Mm-hmm.
wasn't really a Cinderella.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think that world's going away a little bit in some of that
Mm-hmm.
ways. But baseball, I still think there's always going to
Yeah.
be a Cinderella. I really
Mm-hmm.
do. I know 2 years ago we had four ACC, four SEC, but then got right back at it with Murray State this year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and I just still think that the game itself and the variables that are inside of it
Mm-hmm.
just allow for
Yeah.
the Davids of the world to have a
Yeah.
shot.
You talked about kind of your roster a little bit, kind of building your program, having people coming in from different places, coming in from, different, whether it's high school guys, the guys that you bring in, maybe some JUCO guys, maybe working the portal a little bit. Every program is operating in a different way these days, and
Mhm.
some are going more heavy one direction or the other. Just kind of talk about your philosophy right now on kind of how you guys are currently sort of evaluating players. What's your timeline in your recruiting right now? Like 26s, 27 just a little bit of some insight into kind of where you guys are at as far as bringing guys in, how long you maybe are waiting for certain programs or classes, I should say, things of that nature. Just kind of how's the roster building coming along?
Yeah, no, for sure. So, we're and I'm upfront about it. I mean, it's public knowledge. So
Yeah.
we're 50-50, like high
Mm-hmm.
school
Mm-hmm.
and transfer.
Mm-hmm.
The used to be transfer was just junior college players. Well,
Sure. Yeah.
it's changed now.
Mm-hmm.
Where I've got it in a few different categories. It's the junior college player. Then it's the regular 4-year transfer.
Mm-hmm.
It's the graduate transfer now.
Mm-hmm.
And then I call the high school decommit a transfer too, because there's a lot of it
Yep.
out there.
Yep.
And I think it's important that we're going and we're obviously like in tune to what's going on there. So I think
Yep.
there's 4 levels of that going on, and then there's still just one high school
Mm-hmm.
recruit. So, but we try
Mm-hmm.
to be 50-50. Like I really believe if we had all recruited all just straight out of high school, we'd have a tough time competing.
Mm-hmm.
I think if we had all straight transfers, we wouldn't have a great culture.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So like it's kind of like I think it's a good mix. It's one we believe in, and we're going to continue to embrace from that standpoint. Um, we've currently got a slew of 26s committed, and we're still looking to add a couple as we go.
Yeah.
Whether it's going to be the decommit or somebody, 6 months is a long
Mm-hmm.
time in
Yeah.
a player's development piece,
Yep.
especially at that age. So
Mm-hmm.
there's going to be someone that blooms a little later and
Yeah.
whatever it may be. I mean, they grow 2 inches, 3 inches, put on 20 pounds. Like it happens all the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So there's that piece that we're still going to be actively, and we've identified some 27s. We've
Mm-hmm.
got some list stuff going on, but for me, it's a little early for us.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
us here, it's a little early. And if one good thing has happened, in my opinion, from this whole the portal and like the landscape and
Mm-hmm.
everything and some of the rule stuff is it's really slowed down the high
Yeah.
school recruiting. And I think that's a positive.
Mm-hmm.
No eighth grader, ninth grader should be committing to a school like they're not sure what they're going to have for lunch, let alone making a decision for
Mm-hmm.
it's just it wasn't healthy.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Yep.
healthy, and it slowed it down
Yeah.
big time.
Yep. Yep.
And some people wonder if it's been too slow because like now there's a lot of young men in high school not even getting recruited because of
Yep.
the way the portal's going and everything. But
Mm-hmm.
they just need to be patient
Mm-hmm.
and have their priorities straight in regards to why they're picking a school, and it's going to work. It'll shake out in the right direction for them.
It is a new landscape. I've been here at NCSA now for going on 12 years, and so I've been here helping families navigate all these changes, and it is definitely a big change. 6 years ago, we would have never even brought up the conversation of, yeah, if you go to a good D2 or D3, that can maybe be a place where you can go and then move on. Like we would have never, made that recommendation. That would have been something that would have sounded man, you don't go to a 4-year school to try to transfer. But nowadays, as you mentioned, the graduate transfers and things like that, there are a lot of opportunities for guys where if they can get their foot in the door somewhere, you never know where it can go. It's usually not the may not be the last spot. A lot of families have that idea, or ask that question of, all right, if I go to that D2 or that D3 or that NAIA, it's a different transfer situation than the junior college type of transfer. Talk about kind of for you as a coach navigating those situations. How is that a bit of a different situation than recruiting the junior college player, where it's kind of set up for them to transfer? Talk about kind of just them the families navigating that 4-year process, trying to move up as well, and some of the challenges there.
Yeah, it's a tough
Yeah.
discussion for me, right? Like, because you know I being a Division 2 and Division 3
Mm-hmm.
coach in the past, I don't know how I would handle losing my best players every year.
Yep. Yep.
It'd be tough. It'd be
Mm-hmm.
really tough, and but I can't ignore it. I mean, we've had some really good Division 2 and Division 3
Yep.
transfers here, like
Mm-hmm.
really, really good.
Yep.
Because I've got a pretty good feel for the level. I've
Mm-hmm.
got the relationships were built over the years, so
Yep.
it's awesome from that standpoint. Um, I listen. Everyone that runs their program is going to do it differently. I know
Mm-hmm.
that there's Division 2 and Division 3 coaches out there saying like, "Hey, come here for a year or two, and then we'll move you on."
Yeah.
And if that's what they're doing and they're recruiting and there's an understanding that way, I think that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more than fine. I
Mm-hmm.
think that if you're going and committing somewhere and that's your motive, but not the
Mm-hmm.
programs,
Yep.
that's a problem.
Yep.
To me, that's a big problem.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I hope that they have an understanding moving forward, because I just don't think it's healthy for. Listen, we all have teams, right? Like meaning like we have teams at work. We have to work with people. We've got to be cohesive. We've got teams at home with our families.
Mm-hmm.
We've got our churches where we've got teams and all those type of things. And
Mm-hmm.
you just can't. There isn't a transfer portal inside of a lot of those entities,
Yeah.
and it shouldn't be. So like you have to learn, like, and you have to and there are certain things that are stepping stones or entry level as
Mm-hmm.
far as life goes, and if you know that going in, and it's a communication, and it's something that's set, well, that's an understanding, and it's an acceptable, in my opinion. But again, if it's not, and it's not communicated up front, I don't know, I just don't think it's healthy.
Yep.
I
Yep.
don't think it's
Yep.
healthy, and I think it'll transition to other areas of life.
Well, I think that's great insight. I think that's great advice. I mean, I'm a former Division 3 guy myself, and so it is sort of it doesn't always feel like, man, you got to communicate. Like, you can't go into it saying, well, I'm just going to go to Methodist and I'll just try to transfer out. If that coach is thinking you're going to be there for 4 years, like, that's not a good, healthy situation at all. So,
It's not. It's
yep.
not. It's not going to. Hope anybody watches this, like that. If that is your intention,
Yeah.
I hope that communication goes on early.
Yeah. And if it
Yeah.
happens, I think a lot of times where the situation is healthier too is like if that guy develops into, like, say, an all region, all American type of guy where it's like, okay, I think I've kind of maxed out what I can do here. I think I'd maybe like to see like that. That seems to be more of a natural progression. But if it's not that sort of scenario, that can sort of be a red flag, I think, for a lot of coaches for sure.
No doubt. And listen, like you look at it, right, and like
Yeah.
every young man's getting into this because they want to play professional
Yeah.
baseball.
Yeah.
Again, that's it ends up. They want to be they want to be pros. And I
Yeah.
example, and again, it's nothing against programs, but like a scout values like somebody here that gets,
Mm-hmm.
like if you get 3 hits against Clemson,
Yeah.
it's valued different than 3 hits against Clarion,
Mm-hmm.
which is a
Mm-hmm.
D2 up in PA.
Mm-hmm.
With no offense to them, it's none.
Yeah. Yep.
They're doing a good job, but like
Mm-hmm.
just the guy in the stands looks at it differently. The guy behind the
Yep.
computer looks at it differently. And
Yep.
is that right? I don't not my place to what I mean, to say if it's
Yeah.
right or wrong, but I just
Yep.
that's it's reality.
Well, you saw a ton of great baseball in the Division 2 ranks up there in PA. I mean, some of the powerhouses up there, and some of the guys in the big leagues currently. I mean, so
Yeah.
we all know that there's tremendous baseball at all levels,
Oh
and
yeah.
just for families to understand that is always really important too.
Yeah, I mean, I sometimes become a more of a small school advocate
Yeah.
than I am a Division 1
Sure.
advocate. Like I believe in small college baseball.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in what it can do for you as a person and a player.
Mm-hmm.
I know the experiences that are made are life changing, and they're lifelong. And that's why, I mean, every camp that I'm at, I mean, I just sit there and I preach to these young
Mm-hmm.
men about like embracing
Yeah.
the opportunities that might be in front of them, and don't turn your head, because there's some really good Division 2 and Division 3 baseball
Oh
out
yeah.
there.
Oh yeah.
There,
And
there, yeah.
some tremendous coaches too, right? Like I think
Oh,
it, I think a lot of people don't understand that some of the best coaches may be at some of those levels, and maybe whether it's just they just are very happy in that situation, whatever it may be. I mean, gosh, we see
yeah.
a scenario, up in the Northeast, we've got a coach that actually left a Division 1 program to go be a head coach at a D3 school. So a lot of coaches are maybe seeing that grind a little bit that you were talking about earlier, and it's like, whew, I don't know if this is for me necessarily. So the level of coaching that you get is not going to be just because it's a higher level better coaching necessarily. Like there's great coaches all over the country in all
Yeah. I mean,
programs.
there's a stigma out there.
Yeah.
I say this all the time, that like a fifth grade teacher is smarter than a second grade teacher,
Yeah.
and that's the farthest thing from the truth. I
Mm-hmm.
mean,
Mm-hmm.
I've stood across from some really, really, really good
Mm-hmm.
coaches, way, way,
Mm-hmm.
way, way smarter and way better than me, at the
Mm-hmm.
Division 2 and Division 3 level. And again, it doesn't make. And I know
Yeah.
in this D1 or bust mentality,
Mm-hmm.
that's people think, but no, there's some unbelievable people and
Mm-hmm.
coaches, at those levels, and in junior college too. There are some
Mm-hmm.
unbelievable coaches, but like you
Mm-hmm.
said, listen, family plays a part,
Yep.
region of the country plays a part. A lot of coaches played at the schools they were at. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's all
Mm-hmm.
kinds of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. The time in recruiting, I think that's a huge like thing that people don't understand as well. Like it's such a grind, to get out in the recruiting as well. So with that said, I don't want to keep you too long here, Coach, but I'd love to have you provide just for the families that are listening in here today, just some advice for the families in recruiting. You're someone who's been around a lot of different levels, been around a long time doing this. What are some red flags that you've seen from your experience from recruits and that they maybe should try to avoid? What are some things that they can do to really enhance their opportunities to find places to play college baseball?
Well, I think number one is to be patient.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
one is be very patient through the process. Okay, number two is don't compare. Don't compare to what else is going on
Mm-hmm.
somewhere else, and or if you're a catcher and the young man 2 towns over that committed somewhere, you know what I mean, like don't race to something because someone
Mm-hmm.
else is doing it, and don't compare and say, well, I'm better, or this and that, like don't do your best to just not compare. I think that's it leads you lead down a road of, in my opinion, disappointment. I think it leads you
Mm-hmm.
down of some unrealistic, expectations. There's a lot of different things that go there.
Yeah.
My advice is to really make sure the school, is a fit. Meaning, like, is it the right size, right? Like, is it
Mm-hmm.
somewhere? If you want a 50,000 student school, like Gardner-Webb's not the place for you. I mean, it's not. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? We have a one stoplight town. If you're looking for a great social scene, like you have to identify those factors of the fit first.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
like the area, the enrollment, like, the social piece, whatever it may be, and then really hone in on like the schools that have your major, and where, strengths, and like there's different, like we don't have an engineering program here.
Mm-hmm.
We don't.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if we have a young man we're interested in, and we get in on the weeds on it, and he wants chemical engineering, like, I'm not, I'm not trying to figure out a way to get him here.
Yep. Yep.
I mean, I'm doing him and the family an injustice by trying to do that. So
Mm-hmm.
really figuring out that piece, and let baseball be the third part.
Yeah.
And, listen, if you don't, if Texas and like I said, UNC and Oklahoma State are not beating down your door, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of options out there, and don't shut the door on Division 2, 3, junior college. Like, there's just some super competitive baseball, and like, I really think that families need to go see a game too. Like, I
Right.
really believe that, and take off the travel ball goggles, take off like the just look at it with a really, really, really holistic view, and like look at the physicality, look at the speed, look at some of those things, and see where you match up. And if you don't,
Mm-hmm.
that's okay. Like, you know what I mean? Then you've got to, put your eyes on something different.
Yeah.
And So kind of in a roundabout way, that's how I would really, try to advise if I had a child that was in this, you know what I mean? I would, let them run out of the camp at a Power 4 school. And if they're not chasing you in a parking lot to go on a visit, we got to take a look at somewhere else.
Yeah.
And there's no shame in it. There's nothing
Absolutely.
wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. Nothing.
Yep. Yep. We tell our kids all the time, and there's almost 1,800 college baseball programs. I ran a workshop last week about junior college baseball. There's over 500 programs, right? Like if you want to play, there's somewhere that you can play. As you very well said there, it's just about finding the right fit and finding a place that's going to give you that opportunity to make that goal a reality.
Amen.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Coach, I really appreciate the time this morning. I would love to get you back on at some point here in the future. We'll maybe come up with something else we could talk about, another topic. If you have anything that you want to share, we'd love to get some insight down the road from you. But good luck with the upcoming fall and the season, and I'm sure we'll be chatting with you again here soon.
You got it. I really appreciate the time, and yeah, I'd love to come back anytime.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Coach. Thanks a lot.
Take care.